Hey everybody, welcome to this brief little tour of Lighthouse TV. This is our Allentown studio right now. We're in the process of moving, but this is the way things currently are. So behind me, you can see this is master control, but nothing in here is actually what we're gonna talk about today, because today we're gonna talk about our studio production room and our setup in there for how we do live to tape recordings for our shows. We have like 10 original shows here at Lighthouse TV, and a lot of them are filmed right here in Allentown. So this here is our production rack. This is the center of everything that we do production-wise. I'm just gonna run you through a few different things that we have in here. The center of all of our video switching is this ATEM constellation, and that's how we do the majority of our actual switching. But then we also do have vMix running on a PC right here, and that is what is sending our video playback for intros to shows, for breaks, a couple other different things like countdowns and timers and things like that. And then we also have this machine down here, which is running New Blue Captivate, and that's our software that is running our lower thirds and other overlay graphics and things like that. And then to get everything to everywhere that we need, we have a DA here, and we also have a Blackmagic Video Hub, and that is sending things all across our whole site here. We do have this TVU, which is connecting our Harrisburg location to our Allentown location. We are expanding all the time, and we love being able to do different projects where we have things in between our Harrisburg location and our Allentown location. And so that's really, really fun and really awesome. And then to actually get all of our content recorded, we actually have a duplicate recording system. So everything's being recorded individually on HyperDecks, and then also on the ATEM ISO Extreme. And what that does is it gives us, like, we're safe. We definitely know we have recordings of everything, but also we have those things duplicate routed. So if we want a certain camera to be recorded that isn't normally recorded, we can easily route it through that. We have 8 different recorders, and we have 2 recordings of each of those for every time we do a production, which is great. This rack also does things like give us multi-view and give us a couple different other things for routing wise, some control for keyboards and mouses in between our production room and this room, gets everything on network, things like that. Typical things in a rack. But right now we're gonna show you our production room and give you a little tour of what this is all doing. So here we go. And in here, we have the production room. Welcome to the production room. This is James. James is one of our directors, my very good friend. And between him and a couple different other people here at Lighthouse TV, we have got a really awesome team of incredible people, and we are making some really good content, and I'm very excited to show you a little bit of that. So here you can see our whole setup. We've got a lot of different things going on. So I already told you about our vMix machine and our graphics machine running Captivate. We also have a machine that is running a program called Central Control. And Central Control is literally the hub of our whole entire operation. It lets us have control of a bunch of different things across all those different platforms, all of those different devices in our rack, and all the different devices in our studio we can control just with that one software. And it's a really, really useful thing that has given us a ton of ability to kind of use a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, but make it very, very simple. So the biggest thing, obviously, that it does is it gives us access to this big panel here. So this is a NewTek TriCaster panel, and we're not using it to do anything except for control the Central Control software right now. So what that does is it gives us access to all these buttons that we can make it do absolutely whatever we want. So James, you want to talk about just like the simple version of what switching video looks like on there?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously down here we have our preview program buses, which is, your main inputs. You can go ahead and switch between whatever you want. So right here we have a Skype layout, camera, obviously the studio's in turnover right now. but yeah, so I mean, that's like the base, just like your typical switcher, you can switch between inputs, outputs, and send whatever you need to send, wherever you got to send it, and that's kind of where Central Control comes into play.
And so then the other thing that we do with that is we incorporate vMix as our video player into things. So there's a lot of times where we'll need to play an intro to a show or some sort of video element in between there. Maybe it's breaks, or the outro or other things inside of that. So James, can you talk about how Central Control gives us access to vMix in that way?
So up there in the bottom left corner of that top screen there is our vMix computer running vMix. And essentially we have buttons on the switcher which allow us to change what will be queued from vMix. So right now I have the intro for the show queued up, and when I hit take, there's a take button that normally switches between preview and program, and then there's a take vMix button that will take what's in preview of vMix, which I just set here, and will also take vMix onto our main program. So when I hit that, that'll roll the either B-roll, intro, whatever you got playing from vMix. It'll run that onto your program, so it does a double take. So it's taking two things at once. So that's kind of why we need Central Control to help us do that.
Exactly. And the other thing that vMix is doing, in addition to just giving us playback in the middle of shows, is that we use it for when our hosts are doing promos for the shows,
right? And
they need a countdown. Can you just walk us through like that part?
Yeah, sure. So okay, so let's say we got this going up here. Just so you guys understand, for layout's sake, top right corner up there is the confidence monitor, in which, so like essentially what's inside of the prompter for the host. So we actually have a button we have buttons that can change all that, and that's also because of Central Control. So we can route, right now, we got program up there. That's our Skype guest feed, countdown feed, which is essentially letting them know how long the show's running. Then the really cool part where vMix comes back into play here is when you hit confidence promo, we actually have a countdown clock here for when we film our promos. So this goes right, they can see this here, running clock, so they can start talking. There's some text for them to know what they're talking about. And we actually have these really cool buttons here, which actually we can pause that clock. So I just paused that there. I can reset it, if we got to do another promo or another take. And we actually have buttons that let us go between topics as well. So, and I can play it again and it'll start going. So essentially what those buttons are doing are individual commands in vMix that typically would take, a chain of 5 or 6 mouse clicks to get to do that. But we have it all set up. It's just one button on the switcher that allows us to do all that.
Which is like super amazing. And that's one of the really great things about Central Control, is that it lets us not be so focused on the details and the engineering side of all the back end of the software, but instead we can just like make things really simple, so that way between the talent and the director, like there's just art being made. They're just making good content. They're not worrying about the details or the technical side of things. And Central Control takes all of our different elements that we're doing and makes that all happen at once, which is really, really cool. And we love it. This panel also, through Central Control, gives us access to PTZ controls of our cameras. So here in the Allentown studio, we actually don't have any manned cameras. So we have 7 cameras that are in our studio, and all of them are PTZ controlled. So do you want to talk about how the panel works with that?
Sure. So this guy up here, this is actually the inbox panel that comes with the cameras that we're running, the Panasonic. But so the good thing that we are able to do now, we have that there just as a redundancy, but we really control the cameras on the switcher. So essentially whatever we put in preview will automatically link to allow us to control that. So let's say I put camera 5 here in preview. I can now go ahead and move camera 5 left and right, and then I can take that whenever I'm ready. And then, so essentially what this does is it follows whatever was last in your preview bus. So when you're ready to make an adjustment here, you have a button that'll light up for you to tell you what is actually going to get moved. So I can go ahead, I just gotta make sure I hit camera 1. I can go ahead, I can move camera 1 again. I can do this, I can zoom in, zoom out. We even have iris up, iris down controls on that there. Auto manual focus, focus far, focus near. And that's linked to whatever you hit in preview. So then again, that's all because Central Control's talking to the cameras, which is talking to these buttons, which talks to these buttons, which talks to that. And all we got to do is just hit the camera we want to control, and it works.
And we also have presets in there so that like if you like the way something looks, you can save that. And each camera You could actually do even more presets, but we have 4 right now. So every single camera, you could have 4 different presets, and there's a save and a recall button sitting right there, ready to go with that. So like, it really makes things super easy.
Yep.
And if that wasn't enough, like on the same panel, we also have like the ability to start and stop our full countdown for the whole show, which is one of those hyperdecks is just running playback. So we can just hit play and the countdown will start running right there. We can skip to the next one, go back to the previous one. We can also like hit our there's our countdown running right now. We can also hit our master like record button, and that records on all of those hyperdecks and the ISO all, and like on our audio console all at the same time. And then we can stop that all from that one panel, which is crazy to think that like you don't have to go around to every single thing and hit record. You can just send the commands from the same.
Everything's time coded and, and in sync right when you pull in your edit project.
Exactly, and it's all from the same panel, and you can only get that much like everything being together at once. I really think like Central Control is the only product that can really do all of that stuff at the same time. And in addition to that, we're also controlling Captivate, which is our overlay software for computer graphics. So we have lower thirds on there, we have right thirds, we have other kinds of different overlay and things like that. And that is literally being controlled on the panel for the TriCaster. So I do have like another Stream Deck set up over here. This is running Companion, and that can trigger our different graphics and things like that. So you can see there, like there's the graphic. When I play that on and off through Captivate, it plays, but if James wants to run the graphic himself, he can also do it from over there with the buttons, and we have access to all of our different overlay graphics right from there on that same panel, which is incredible. One other feature that we really love using with Central Control is their Teleprompter. So inside of Central Control, you can add the module for the Teleprompter, and what that does is give you a Google Doc that is your prompter script. So when James goes over there and edits the prompter script on the Google Doc, you can see up here in this top right corner, that shows us what the script is right now. So I can play that script, and I can increase the speed, I can slow the speed down, I can hit stop, I can go to previous segment, to the next segment, and now you can see James is typing hello right now. So that instantly updated right as he's typing it. So that's like super helpful for getting our workflow organized. It doesn't have to be all inside of some software, it's just in a Google Doc. And Central Control is always looking at that and talking to it, and we love that. The other thing that we really love is that at any point that we find some other kind of friction point where things are taking us too long to do in a live production environment, we can just add a new button into Central Control. And so one of the things that we've done with that recently is when we have a Skype guest or a Zoom guest, we want them to be able to be seen on a SuperSource, which is nothing new, nothing uncommon. But we were having an issue where to get those controls to work inside of the ATEM environment, we had to use a mouse and like go into the actual software and change it with a mouse. And that just takes far too long. It's not practical. So Central Control literally makes a feature on the ATEM that you can't even use without this add-on in Central Control, where you can actually, it's called the SuperSource Animator. And what it does is you can actually add like presets of your SuperSource locations, sizes, crops, all of that stuff, and we can have access to it from our panel right here. So James, do you want to like show them what that looks like over here?
Yeah, so all right, I'm just gonna cut to our two box here. So this is where, we got the host on the left, Skype guest on the right. Obviously right now that's not even filling up the whole screen, so we have these nice handy little dials here. So now look, there we go. There's better framing, color bars are filling up the whole screen there. So we can move that pretty freely here, left, right, up, down. We have just these little dials here. And if I need to move the host, I just hit box 1. I could change the host size box as well. We have crops as well. So if we're hanging over the edge a little bit, I can crop down that side and then right there. There we go, done. So now the one thing though about this is typically speaking, when you go off of this, it won't save your progress. So if I take away from that and come back, oh, I guess this time it did. Okay. If I queue up a different, there we go. All right, so if you queue up the other SuperSource, it'll wipe that away.
Mm-hmm. So now we're back to this
right,
like
so now we're back to the
small,
initial thing
right.
we started with, which is obviously could be a problem. So essentially what you can do now, I'm gonna go ahead and make this box bigger again, and we actually added these buttons that'll update the 2 box. So now when we cut away from it and we go back to this one, and then we come back again to your 2 box, it saves the changes that we made here. And the other really cool thing is we can actually edit both SuperSources simultaneously. So like if we have this one's live right now, it used to be the case where you could only change the input of the guest and that was it. But now we have it split up, so we have 2 different SuperSources, so I can change this guy here while not messing with that. So if I get the SuperSource 1 and move box 2 here, I can now make that smaller, update that, and I can cut to that, all while not messing up what's actually being seen on program. So.
And that was just like a huge point of friction before, because it was really slowing down our ability to cut when we wanted to and change things when we wanted to. So it was a big like handicap that now we don't have to worry about, just because Central Control has added that in. And I'm sure there's gonna be like a lot more things we can do. There's some stuff that we didn't even talk about really, like the fact that we have all these multi-views and all these different looks. All of that is reroutable via Central Control. So James is clicking on his Stream Deck over there, and that's just changing all of the routing for everything. So if we ever need to work on any of our machines specifically, we can just pull those up and work on there. We also were working today on some buttons where we were changing what content is in the screens on our studio. And all of that stuff is done within the same program, which is just absolutely incredible. We're really appreciative to Joe DeMax for working on this product and also for like working with us. He's been super helpful, and we cannot recommend this enough. It's like really changed the game for us, and we're excited to see what we will do with it next.